My name is Alaya Irvin. About a week ago, my nearly 80-year-old father-in-law collapsed. He was the CEO of a major corporation, and his fall caused a huge panic among the employees. As his daughter-in-law living with him, I had to report this to my husband, who was living separately. But my husband didn't seem surprised at all and just said, "I see." The funeral turned into a grand corporate affair. After it ended, my husband showed up at the family house with his mistress, Riker. It was my first time meeting her, and she walked around our house in flashy clothes, eyeing everything. Wow, typical of a wealthy family. So many expensive things here. Yeah. All of this will belong to me now, right? Harry is my husband. Harry, born into wealth, never had to worry about money. He used his wealth to make friends, and his mistress was probably after his money too. Harry never worked a day in his life. No matter how much his father urged him to work, he'd say, "I've got more money than I could ever spend. Why bother?" And so, he didn't do anything. But as he got older, perhaps feeling embarrassed by his idleness, he started calling himself an artist and lived carelessly. Our marriage wasn't a grand love story. My father-in-law wanted someone to take over his company and chose me, an office worker at the time. I had to agree, refusing would mean no inheritance and, eventually, no one to support me after my father-in-law, the company's president, passed away. So, without a single date, Harry decided to marry me. I couldn't refuse, struggling with debts my parents had left me. But our marriage lacked any real connection. I became the successor to my father-in-law, focusing on work. Now that he's gone, I'm not struggling with work, but it's a strange situation. It's amazing, isn't it? How many millions in inheritance are we talking about? Millions? You're joking. It's probably tens of millions. Awesome, sorry for stealing the only son of a wealthy family. Riker, his mistress, clings to him and laughs, saying that I don't feel any resentment for being taken away. I have no lingering feelings for such a man. So, I get all the inheritance, right? Of course. I'm the only child, after all. It doesn't go to the wife, right? The inheritance is all mine. Now, I can spend the money as I like without worrying about my dad. That's great. But, to avoid any issues later, let's give something to this lady as a token, like alimony. You can pick anything you want. Well, then. I'll take the company. The company? Right, we had that. I don't want it. Who wants to work? Exactly. You can have company. Great. Besides that, I'd like your father's favorite watch, please. A watch? Are you serious? There are so many more valuable things here, and you choose that? You're such a fool. I prefer something he loves. Wow, fancy liking some old man's favorite stuff. Well, it's okay. It's not worth much anyway. Oh, and by the way, you're no longer needed. We're getting a divorce. A divorce? Don't you dare say no. I wouldn't. We never really acted like a married couple anyway. Yeah, you were always all about work, and I was always left feeling lonely. Harry never worked and left everything to me, claiming loneliness while indulging in his affairs. I was the one working, and he just did whatever he pleased, thinking that was enough. His father was so worried about him, especially with women like Riker. Just sign this. We'll be strangers after this. And don't come asking for money later. Right, the watch is your alimony. Okay, I get it. But are you sure this is what you want? Of course. We've got this huge house and all these assets. There must be a ton of his savings too. We'll live comfortably now. Yeah, knowing him, he probably has a stash in a Swiss bank or something. Swiss bank? Yeah, rich folks store their money there for tax reasons. Dad must have done the same. You don't seem to understand these things. I never really cared. Too bad. If you had, you could have transferred some of his money to your account when he died. Such a fool. Yes, quite foolish. Hey, that car might be worth a lot, right? The car? Yeah, Dad loved cars. That one's valuable. Yeah. They dreamily talked about how much each item might be worth. I remembered my father-in-law's words while listening to them. Hey! How long are you gonna stay? Pack your things and leave. Right. Do you even have a place to live? Don't worry about her. Yes, no need to worry. I've bought a condo. Impressive. But it's probably a tiny place compared to this mansion. Indeed, it's nothing compared to this, I said with a smile. I left the family house and went to my condo near the office. Now, I won't have to struggle returning home late from work. It will be much easier now. While enjoying a more relaxed lifestyle, I received an unexpected phone call. Hello, how's life in poverty? Who's this? It's Riker, Harry's wife. That was quick. Are you already married? Of course. I'm Riker Irvin now. You're poor after the divorce, but I've joined the ranks of the wealthy. Congratulations. What do you want? Don't be so cold. I thought I'd let you know just how much our family treasures are worth. What do you mean? I can't chat for long, I've got work. Poor thing, having to work to make ends meet. Not really. It's an important company my father-in-law left behind, and I'm just protecting it. That's why you're pitiful, tied down to such a place. You can't leave even if you want to. Is that so? Harry said being tied to a company like that, you can't do anything. He's an artist and doesn't want to be bound by a company. I don't like it either. Good for you. Why? If you liked being tied to a company, there would have been a struggle over it. I want to protect this company, but you and Harry don't feel the same, right? Right, it's just trouble. Who knows if it'll even make money? It's better to have something that makes money right now, like the assets he left. Is that all you wanted to discuss? I have a meeting soon. Not yet. The main topic is coming, she said, as I grew increasingly frustrated with the pointless conversation. Listen, we have an appraiser coming this weekend. An appraiser? Yes, to see how much our assets are worth. So, what does that have to do with me, I wonder? I thought you might want to be there, to regret what you lost. I doubt I'll regret it. Why not? You'll surely feel bad if it's worth billions. I have no interest in what's in that house. It's not mine, so I won't regret it. You're so boring, like a robot. Am I? Yes. But even someone like you will feel bad if it's worth billions. So, come this weekend. I don't want to. Just come. Maybe I'll even give you something else. I don't want to waste my valuable time on such nonsense. Despite not wanting to waste my time on such nonsense, Riker's persistent nagging eventually wore me down, and I agreed to go that weekend. Driving my beloved car, I arrived at the house where I had lived with my father-in-law. Greeting me was Riker, clad in tastelessly flashy clothes. Welcome. What do you think of this outfit? Super expensive. Did you buy it? Of course, being part of a wealthy family now, I have to dress like this. To me, it seemed like cheap clothing for someone claiming to be wealthy, but to Riker, it appeared luxurious. Inside, I found Harry lounging on a sofa, swirling a wine glass. Ah, they wanted to show off their wealthy lifestyle to me. It felt rather pitiful. How about this life? Don't we look much more like rich folks than when you lived here? Maybe. Of course. Enjoying wine and a leisurely life is something a workaholic like you wouldn't understand. Right. Such matters seemed trivial to me. I looked around the room, filled with memories of living with my father-in-law. Then, a photo of my late in-laws, standing shoulder to shoulder, caught my eye. I hadn't paid much attention to it while living here. Oh. I stroked the photo, feeling a surge of fondness. You said I could take one more thing, didn't you? What? Did you finally want something valuable? No, I want this photo. It was dear to my father-in-law. That? I was going to throw it away anyway. Take it if you want. Thank you. Really, you're such a strange woman, I said, feeling a connection to my in-laws. As I was looking at the photo, the doorbell rang. Riker answered it to find the eagerly awaited appraiser. "We've been waiting. Sorry for the wait. This is quite an impressive residence." "Right. That's why we have a lot for you to appraise today. We have mountains of valuable items in this house. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get started." As the appraiser walked around the house, he didn't stop to examine any of the items. "Excuse me. You've been walking past all these valuable items. Please appraise them properly." "Which items are valuable?" "What? What do you mean? That vase, this painting, they're all valuable." "No. Everything in this house is a forgery." "What do you mean by forgeries?" "If I were to put a price on them, they'd only be worth a few dollars at most. They're not worth stopping for." "Lies." "It's true." "Harry! What's the meaning of this? Can't be. My father was part of a wealthy family, a connoisseur of antiques. You're telling me he only collected forgeries?" "It appears so." "No way. How could such a rich man do that? There must be at least one valuable item, right?"
"Well, it's quite common actually. Wealthy people often buy artworks that seem sophisticated to laymen but turn out to be worthless. We often find that most items are of no value when we appraise them after the owner's passing."
"Unbelievable. What did that old man do to us?" They were furious. Watching them, I couldn't help but suppress a smile at their dismay. That's when the appraiser noticed the watch on my wrist, my late father-in-law's keepsake.
"Excuse me, but could I see that watch? It appears to be a gentleman's watch." "Yes, it was my father-in-law's." "May I take a look at it, please?"
"Yes, of course." He examined it carefully and said, "This is indeed a fine piece." "Really? How much is it worth?"
"It wouldn't go for less than $6 million.
"What? A watch worth $6 million, and everything else in this house is junk?"
"Even so."
"Give that watch back."
"No, it's a keepsake from my father-in-law."
"Why not take something else? All the other items are worthless."
"I can't do that. It's precious because he wore it every day. He worked while looking at the time on this watch."
"I don't care about that." "Hey, Riker, stop it. It's embarrassing. Even if the vases and paintings are worthless, we still have the car, the savings in the bank, and this house is worth a fortune." "Oh, right. Yeah."
"Well, it seems the appraisal is done. I'll be leaving now,"
I said, taking the photo frame with me. As I stepped outside, the appraiser followed me.
"Excuse me."
"Yes? What is it?"
"Could I see that photo frame, please?"
"Sure, here you go." After a close examination, he nodded deeply and said, "Just as I thought. No mistake. This photo frame alone is worth $200,000. It seems that valuable things find their way to those without greed. Please take good care of it." With that, he left. I hadn't expected the photo frame to be so valuable, but I guessed it was another gift from my father-in-law. I carefully placed it in my bag. After that day, Riker and Harry, having lost interest in the forgeries, tried to sell the cars. But there was a catch, and soon I received another call from Riker. "What's going on?" she yelled, starting the conversation with an angry outburst despite me being at work. "What do you mean?" "The cars."
"The cars?"
"Yes, the cars that old man left behind."
"Yeah, my father-in-law did have a hobby for cars."
"There are so many of them, and none of them can be sold. What's the meaning of this?"
"I'm not sure what you expect me to say. Why can't they be sold? Are they damaged?"
"No, that's not it. Every single one of them is under mortgage."
"Oh."
"Not oh. We tried selling the house too, but that's under mortgage as well. What is going on? Harry says he doesn't know anything because you were the one living with that old man."
"Maybe the company was struggling financially, and he mortgaged them to borrow money."
"What?
I never heard of such a thing. Wait a minute. The company, you inherited it, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So, the debts are yours to pay, right?
No, the debts were incurred against my father-in-law's personal assets. The company would only be responsible if they were to repay my father-in-law.
What do you mean? How can you repay someone who has passed away?
In his will, there's a clause stating that all debt repayment obligations cease upon his death. It's pointless to repay him now.
I'll take it then.
It doesn't work like that.
Then what about the cars? The house?
They're mortgaged, so they'll likely be auctioned off soon since the debts aren't being repaid. If you really want the cars or the house, you'll have to pay off the debts.
How much are we talking about?
Probably tens of millions of dollars.
We don't have that kind of money.
I thought so.
So, if they're auctioned, will the debts be gone?
Even if auctioned, it's unlikely that it will cover the entire amount owed. It might reduce the debt from tens of millions to just a few million.
A few million? It's all the same.
That's tough.
What should I do? Wait, what about the bank? The Swiss bank account he had money in?
About that, I'm not sure why you thought so. My father-in-law never deposited a single cent in a Swiss bank. He only had accounts in local banks, and as far as I know, there were only a few thousand left in his account.
Why did it end up like this? Wasn't he part of a wealthy family?
Being wealthy requires work, and as the CEO of the company, securing funds was part of his job. He created wealth and borrowed where he could. That's what led to the current situation.
So, we have to pay off millions of dollars in debt?
Yes, since you've inherited the estate.
But there's no inheritance. All the valuables were fakes, the cars and house are mortgaged, and there's no savings.
Debt is also part of the inheritance, a negative one.
I don't want that.
But the inheritance process is already complete. You should have refused it when you had the chance. Really? Hey. Yes, what is it?
So the company is making a profit, right?
It is, but we can't avoid scaling down operations. I'm trying my best to manage.
Give us the company's profits.
Why would that happen?
Harry's father owned the company, so its profits belong to Harry.
The company is mine now. I've completed the transfer of ownership and have been appointed as the CEO. It has nothing to do with you anymore.
This is terrible. We'll end up with nothing but debt.
That was your choice, wasn't it?
We'll be poorer than before.
That's unavoidable.
It's unfair that you have company.
Maintaining the company requires a significant amount of money. Do you have that kind of money?
How much do we need?
At least $6 million.
So, you'll also be saddled with $6 million in debt?
Well, I have my father-in-law's watch that's worth $6 million. If necessary, I'll use it to revive the company.
That's so unfair.
Also, the photo frame you called worthless is actually worth $200,000.
Unbelievable.
But I don't plan to sell either if I can revive the company.
Then give me the watch.
You have the house, valuables, and cars.
But they're all worthless.
Thinking they would live a life without financial worries, Riker and Harry ended up burdened with debt, leading to an even more impoverished life. A year later, Harry came to my company. Hey, lend me some money. Oh, long time no see.
Please, I'm begging you, lend me some money.
Even if you ask for a loan, you don't have the ability to repay it, do you?
I'm working now.
If you're working, why do you need to borrow money?
I can't cover millions in debt with what I earn.
You can't repay your current debts, and you think you can repay a new loan from me? That's impossible.
I'll find a way to pay it back.
Please don't make promises you can't keep.
Then hire me.
I thought you were already working?
If you pay me a high salary at your company, like $20,000 a month, that would solve it.
What a ridiculous idea. You've never worked properly, and now you expect a monthly salary of $20,000. Impossible.
If you don't hire me, Riker will be furious. My current job is just part-time, and the pay is low. But since you were my wife, you would pay me well, right? I won't misuse the company for personal gains. That's unthinkable. I won't survive without it. Please, help me out.
We're divorced. Why should I help you?
Don't say that.
Ideally, you should have taken over this company.
But you chose to play instead. It's all your own doing. You should accept the consequences. Live in poverty?
Yes, it's fine. You're with the woman you love.
That's a joke. Now, she's like a demon to me. I hate working. How did it come to this?
Your father was always worried about you. He wondered what you were thinking, never working. How will he ever become responsible, he pondered.
Really?
But now, you might finally understand the importance of work.
Why do you say that?
Because now you know you can't survive without working. Poverty can be enlightening.
I hate being poor. But why did my father buy all those fakes?
Shall I reveal the secret?
You know why?
Yes. When you started living with Riker, he worried that after his death, you'd convert all his assets into cash. He thought that with billions, his foolish son would become even more foolish.
What?
So, over 3 years, he replaced the originals with fakes, selling the real ones.
And the money from the sales?
It went into the company's funds. He used it when the company was struggling.
So, that means?
The remaining money is in a Swiss bank account, under my name.
You have it?
That's how it is.
So, you're saying you embezzled the inheritance?
Yes, but it's not an inheritance theft. It was a lifetime gift, and I've paid the taxes. Plus, I use that money for the company, not wastefully like you would.
That's crazy. I'm struggling so much.
It's all because you were foolish.
Why is it like this?
That's because you never worked. Plus, you foolishly walked yourself into poverty.
What do you mean?
By having an affair, leaving your wife, and remarrying a poor woman, you made a foolish choice. Had you stayed with me, you would still be part of a wealthy family. But a husband who doesn't work is worthless.
So, my father foresaw all this?
Exactly. You carry the surname but are no longer part of its wealth.
What a disaster!
Now that you understand, can you leave? Your poor wife is waiting.
Where are you living now? Moved from that mansion to another one?
No, I prefer living somewhere suitable for a single person. I don't want a mansion.
Where then?
There. I pointed to a condo visible from the window.
Which one?
That condo.
No way. How can you afford to live there?
I'm a CEO. That's the kind of income one have.
Which floor?
The top floor.
Why? I'm poor, and you get to live like that.
You threw away what I picked up.
What did I throw away?
This company. It's a gold mine. If you had worked properly, you'd be sitting in this chair, and living on the top floor of that condo. You threw it all away.
I get it. I know what to do.
What's that?
Date me. Let's remarry. I'll leave Riker. Then I'll be part of the family again.
That's impossible.
Why not? I'm originally part of the family.
You chose to leave it. Live happily with Riker. I'll continue living as the family.
That's ridiculous. Give me back my privilege. I'm the rightful heir.
Enough. I'll call security. Go live your life as a poor man. Your wife is waiting.
Damn it.
Harry, fuming with anger, was escorted out by security. He continued his married life with the now furious Riker. But her only words to him were, "Get to work. It's your debt from your father, it's only natural you pay it off."
But I don't want to work. I don't want to work. Stop joking around.
I'm an artist. I can't do just any cheap job.
Enough with your nonsense. If you're an artist, make something that sells. I'm stuck in poverty because of you. I wouldn't be living like this if I hadn't married you.
Despite being pushed to work, Harry, who never worked before, struggled even in part-time jobs, often getting scolded by his senior colleagues. Constantly yelled at both at work and home, one day Riker left him, leaving behind only a divorce paper with her name on it. Harry ended up alone, unable to repay his debts, eventually choosing bankruptcy and descending into homelessness. Meanwhile, I successfully managed the company, enjoying a graceful life. The watch my father-in-law left me still ticks on my wrist, pointing towards my bright future.